Everyone, I just started a little early, my bad. My name is Ryan Garcia from Fireside Yankees. I hope you're all doing well on this lovely, lovely Monday evening. We've got a good bit to talk about. I know the overlay is a little bit different, but we're playing around with some stuff with the background, and it didn't look the way I wanted it to, and so I didn't want a messed up background. I know I'm about a minute late for the stream, so I really apologize. Obviously, you'll get that minute back. We're going to go for an hour. As always, we really appreciate your support here on the Fireside Yankees YouTube channel. My name is Ryan Garcia. If this is your first time watching, we go live on Mondays, and we go live on Wednesdays, 7:30, 7 o'clock, somewhere in that time range. You'll always get in our videos. You always get to know the time, so there's an incentive to watch the videos and check out our videos so that you can understand when we're going live. I really appreciate you guys so much for tuning in. It's been awesome doing this winter. You guys have given us so much support, so much love, all of that and more. Now, in today's live stream, we're going to talk about some of the final things the Yankees need. They're going to need some more bench pieces. They're still looking there. I think they're going to go out and try and still look for bullpen arms. I think they still need some bullpen support. So we'll talk about those two things, talk about some options that I think would make sense for the Yankees. And I also want to talk about Brian Cashman's press conference, and I'll give you guys a little bit of press release stuff when it comes to the podcast and the state of affairs here on Fireside Yankees. We have some really exciting updates. We haven't gone live since the announcement came out over the last few days that Gary Phillips will be joining the Fireside Yankees podcast 2 times a week for a show called The Bronx Beat. We are releasing the first episode of this week. I will give you more details on the exact drop date because I think I want to kind of keep that a mystery for you guys. You'll see it in the YouTube, and you'll see a premiere. And when you see it, that is when you'll know the day of drop. So I'm kind of want to keep that a little bit. I want to play that close to the chest a little. Gary and I have talked. We have a pretty cool show structure. We're really excited to show you guys what we're cooking up in the lab. We're gonna have some fun spring training content. We're not gonna go official with spring training stuff, but we're gonna try and see if we can be there this upcoming March. I've got my spring break, which lines up pretty well with spring training, so I'll keep you guys posted there. And finally, kind of like doing some more just kind of going around the horn a little bit here. We're going to talk a little bit at some point this week about the top 30 for the ESM for Empire Sports Media that I drop every year, every preseason, every post headline, all that stuff that will be coming out this week. So top 30, Bronx Beat with Gary Phillips is debuting, and you should get some spring training news at some point in the next couple of weeks. If you're here, say let's go Yankees. I hope you guys are having a great night. I'm going to start shouting out the people here. We have What's Good 829, Paul Figueroa, Jose Medina, Yankees Girl, Jimmy Matthew, Terrence, Tyler, MLB Channel Guy, David Steinman, Yanks Lover, Richie, Pole Knows, my guy. And we'll start getting into the bench bat conversation. I think that is, I don't want to say like the most interesting conversation of them all, because I think that there is more interesting things than discussing the value or the validity or the upside of a Ty France. But I do think he's an important player in this conversation because he's one of the bench bats the Yankees are looking at. Chris Cotillo of Mass Live discussed on Twitter that the Yankees are among teams involved in his services. France signed a 1-year, $1 million contract last year with the Minnesota Twins. He was then traded to the Toronto Blue Jays. He was on their World Series roster. He is a right-handed hitting first baseman. He's the reigning American League Gold Glover at first base. He had an excellent defensive season, but he did not have excellent results against left-handed pitching. Now, one thing I do point out with these platoon guys is you really should pay attention to their underlying data, because underlying data gives us a better understanding of a player's output or potential output than the results, because we're just dealing with such small sample sizes. It's also important to note that even expected numbers are fallible in these small sample sizes. You can have a 150 play appearance stretch where you're just hitting the ball hard, and that may not be that sustainable. I'm going to give myself a quick cough real quick because I really need to cough, and I'll be right back. So whatchamacallit? Let's start by answering the first question from Yanks Lover. Ty France is asked, please change my mind on him. Look, I'm not going to sit here and tell you this guy's a rock star. This guy is a backup first baseman, in my opinion. Backup first basemen are not great baseball players. They are situational baseball players. They are baseball players that should not be looked at in the capacity of a quality big-time big leaguer. They are role players. They are, situational ball players. Ty France is somebody I expect to be able to produce some offense against left-handed pitching because of his near 800 expected OPS against them last year. He's got a pretty good swing for Yankee Stadium. There's a good amount of opposite field right-handed fly balls that I think would help him in this ballpark. He's a very good defensive first baseman. I think against lefties, France is a good option to throw in those matchups, despite the fact that his WRC plus and OPS last season were not good against lefties. Defensively, I do think he's a wizard out there. I think he's a very good defensive first baseman. And more importantly, I think the way that this strategy would work, for me at least, is if Ben Rice is catching and Austin Wells is on the bench against left-handed pitching. Now, you might go, Ryan, what if it's Ben Rice losing reps? Then I'm not enticed by this. I would not encourage the New York Yankees to go through with this if the situation was sit Ben Rice and start Ty France. I also believe Paul Goldschmidt is a better option against left-handed pitching than Ty France is. I know France is perhaps the better defensive player at this point in time, but the upside with the offense with Goldschmidt is definitely worth it. You still are improving first base defense a little bit by having him. And as Paul Nose points out here, France's defensive season might be a fluke. I do think he's a quality defensive player, but I don't think his median defensive outcome is so much greater than Paul Goldschmidt's that you would sign Ty France over Goldschmidt simply for the defense. I do think there is a point to be made that because Paul Goldschmidt is 39 and because Ty France is 31, there is less collapse risk than when it comes to somebody like a Ty France, who, it's not that he's an infallible player, but you don't expect his skill set to completely erode in his age 31 season. So it's a little bit different. There are varying levels of risk here. Again, I do just believe you should acquire Goldschmidt because Goldschmidt's a better player if you're going to go after the first base, right-hand hitting bat. I think that I'm just going to tweet this out real quick. The link for the Yankees, this Yankee stream. I really apologize. I'm just going to get this out real quick. And then we'll keep going. But I think Paul Goldschmidt's a better fit than Ty France is. I wouldn't hate Ty France. It's better than nothing, in my opinion. I think the Yankees adding another bench bat, it just gets you better. It just elevates the floor of this roster. The floor of a roster is really important. The floor of a roster is, I think, such a defining variable when we talk about your ability that, that it gives you the ability to, your roster is just better in these situations. Your roster with a decent worst player is really important. And I think that sounds really stupid. It sounds kind of contradictory, but you want, you want players. You don't want a really awful player populating your roster. I think Ty France is a perfectly acceptable baseball player. I think he's a completely fine baseball player. He's a big leaguer. He belongs in the big leagues. You don't want guys who don't belong in the big leagues is really my point. And Jimmy, I understand what you're saying. Platoons are stupid. I think platoons work. I think platoons are an effective way to improve the floor and the ceiling. I think that a lot of people are really, in my opinion at least, I think they're really dismissive of the value of going from a going from a really bad offensive player against lefties, which is Austin Wells in my opinion, to a solid offensive player against Austin Wells or against lefties, and that's Ty France. I think that's an improvement. I think that makes your roster better. Colton Dawson, do the Yankees add a starter? I would bet against no on the starting pitcher. I don't think the New York Yankees, I don't think there's a starting pitcher that gets moved of significance in the trade market that the Yankees are going to end up with. So yeah, I don't think they're going to trade for Brady Singer. I don't think they're going to trade for, Nick Lodolo. I don't think that's going to happen. So, I personally don't think they're going to pull off a trade for a starting pitcher. I do think they can improve the bench. I think they will look for a reliever, but I do not believe they're going to go out there and acquire a starting pitcher. Again, that's just my opinion. That's just my guess. And we'll kind of see what ends up happening there. We got Vinny Dice in the chat. Vinny, hope you're doing well. What's up, my man? I'm glad to have you here. I really appreciate you stopping by. France or Goldie? Colton, I would rather the New York Yankees sign Paul Goldschmidt than sign Ty France. I think Paul Goldschmidt's a better baseball player, sorry. Paul Goldschmidt's a better baseball player than Ty France. Ty France is a solid option for $1 million, but Paul Goldschmidt, I think, is just the better baseball player. And I think Paul Goldschmidt is a better offensive player. And I think having a really quality offensive player against left-handed pitching is really, really, it's important, man. It's important. Let's talk about this real quick. Um, Joel Sherman said the Yankees are very encouraged by Heel. I wish I shared the same confidence, but it's cool to see. Yeah, I'm curious as to what that is. I think I mentioned this on this podcast on a live stream before, where like I had heard the Yankees were last year. I heard that there was like a new pitch he was toying around with, and I wonder if that got scrapped. Like I wonder if that got scrapped because of his injury. I don't know what it was going to be. Maybe it was going to be a second fastball. But I don't know. That was something I heard during last spring training. He obviously gets hurt. I understand that you don't really want to mess around the new pitch when you're coming back from injury. We'll see if that ends up happening. But if they could do that, it'd be great. I think that if he adds like a sinker or a cutter, like I think he just ends up being a better player. And again, I understand it's not as easy as just, hey, he's adding a new pitch, he's gonna be great. I personally don't have a ton of faith in Luis Heel. And I've said this before and I'll say it again. I think Luis Heel has a greater collapse risk than people give him credit for, because I think collapse risk should factor in injury risk, but it also should factor things in like your command. And if your command is poor, if your command sucks, if your command stinks, you're not gonna be able to be a starting pitcher. But hey, I know the Yankees know their pitching, and I'm not gonna pretend I know more than Matt Blake about pitching, although I don't necessarily have high hopes for Luis Heel. Let's keep it rolling here. Let's keep it talking. They need pitching and right-handed hitters. Yeah, I agree. I think if they can keep adding to both, that'd be great. I want to add more pitching. I want to add more right-handed hitting. That's crazy. They were in on Cabrera and Peralta and came out empty-handed. Rotation's a big issue. Cole Rodon, Schmidt hurt. Fried, Warren, Schlittler, all career high in innings. Weather's a question mark. Yeah, I mean, I think the Yankees, they added Weathers, and their mindset with that was, hey, we have another body. We have a body. We're in a good spot. We don't need to do anything crazy or desperate for it. And I don't know how much I agree with that. I think I would be a little more aggressive on the starting pitching market, but I also don't know what they're doing. Like, I don't mean that in like a, what the hell are they doing? I mean, I don't know what they're doing. I don't have a good feel for what's going on there. It's possible they're doing something behind the scenes and they're looking at to work on something behind the scenes that I'm not even considering. It's possible we see a challenge trade. I think a good thing to talk about with this is Jason Dominguez. And I think there's a chance that Jason Dominguez isn't on the team next year. And while I don't believe the New York Yankees are forcing a Jason Dominguez trade, I do think there is a chance they can trade him for a pitcher, whether it's a starting pitcher, whether it's a controllable like eighth inning guy for the bullpen, whether it's, I mean, I don't know what else would serve as a role for this, but I think the New York Yankees have enough to go out there and get. I think the Yankees have enough to go get another starter, but time will tell if that ends up happening. I don't really understand what the pitching market's going to look like at this point in time. I don't know if teams are like shopping starters that aggressively. Are we going to be seeing like a Nick Lodolo get moved? Oh my God, I'm going to cough and die. 1 second. I got to cough. Oh God. I don't know if they would be willing to send Jason to AAA, I would personally be a little skeptical about moving him to AAA. And I say that with the understanding that, guys get hurt, things happen. But I don't know, man. I personally am not a big fan of putting him in AAA. That's just me. We'll see what else is going on here. Watching him walk the ballpark every 5th day for the week. Yeah, I agree, man. Luis Heel gives you so much anxiety on the mound with his command and his poor command. But hey, if he figures out a way to be a little more consistent, be a little more reliable, be a little more consistent, if he looks like his 2024 self, hey, they'll be in a good spot. If not, then hey, I mean, we're going to be, I think, again, the collapse risk is too high for me to ignore the fact that he could end up not being a starter. He could end up being healthy and still suck, versus left-handed pitching as of now, Ahmed run B, Rice C, Judge right field, Cody left field, Stanton DH, Jazz second base, Grisham center field, Jose Caballero shortstop, McMahon third base. I actually think they'd put Rosario at third and just play Rice at first and put Wells at catcher. But I could be wrong, John Bloom. But John, I appreciate you stopping by, man. What's up? Left on base too often. Says Ryan repping the DR hat. Absolutely wearing my DR hat. We're gonna be wearing this DR hat really frequently. up until the World Baseball Classic. I plan on wearing it semi-free, like pretty frequently. I expect this to be a hat that I'm wearing often, just kind of based on, you know, I'm really excited for the World Baseball Classic. I've been pushing insane conspiracy theories about the World Baseball Classic, but some of those issues are being resolved, and I'll be honest with you guys, I still believe them. I still personally believe that I don't know if the word's collusion, but I think there's something going on with the insurance. I think insurance company stuff, like, I think insurance companies are favoring certain countries over others, but we'll leave that for a different conversation. Hoerner, is it going anywhere? Yeah, I agree. You know, I agree. I don't think the Yankees are getting Nico Hoerner. What else we got here? We'll definitely get a Puerto Rican hat. That's awesome. That's awesome. I love that for you. You know, I hope people from PR specifically, I hope Puerto Rican fans are excited to see that baseball's not putting their thumb on the scale a little bit again. Like, they were really greasing with those disgusting insurance claims. I thought those were so stupid. I'm so in on Andujar, but Trick Savant Pages impresses me. But then I need Goldie to mentor Rice and mash lefty sometimes. I don't want Slater, but better than nothing. This is part of the offseason so weird. Yeah, I agree. This part of the offseason's so weird because we're at the point where the New York Yankees, we're talking about bench bats, and I understand, like, it's really stupid to talk about bench bats, I guess. But bench bats are important because bench bats, you want to make the floor of your roster better. You want to make sure the floor of your roster is really good. You want to make sure you have the pieces to mix and match and make your team better. And very importantly, I think you want to make sure you have depth. Depth is such an important part of being able to win baseball games. And without depth, you know, not going to have a good time trying to win baseball games. I love a good conspiracy theory. Well, I spin a couple of those. What do you think about Brendan Donovan to the Marlins? I think they're the best team in the American League right now. I think that Brendan Donovan's awesome. And I think Brendan Donovan is a really good get for the Mariners. And he's a good bat-to-ball guy. I think he'll hit well in that ballpark. This lineup is pretty gross. Brendan Donovan, Cal Raleigh, Julio Rodriguez, Josh Naylor, Randy Arozarena, J.P. Crawford, Dominic Canzone. Robles and Young are pretty bad hitters, but you can platoon there. Refsnyder can play over Robles, and I think that's what they're going to do. He will have a big year. Yeah, I hope Heal has a big year. John asks, what's your ideal bench, or realistic bench? When everyone's healthy, so I'm gonna say everyone's healthy. I'm gonna say Volpe's here, so like that's the health guy, I guess. My ideal bench is Caballero, Escara, Rosario, and Goldschmidt, because Caballero can play the outfield. Bellinger can play center field. You have Jones in AAA if you need. If Jason doesn't get traded, you can use that. Yeah, you're right, Vinny. Cole Young is a young player, and I should be a little less harsh. He can do better. But I think that's my ideal, like, realistic bench. You add one more piece, you make that group better, you give them a little more floor, a little more foundation. Yeah, I'm a fan of that. That's what I'm a fan of. Yeah. Heard the Dylan Coleman, who they signed to a minor league deal last month, was sitting 100+ in his bullpen sessions. Yeah, we talked about this. We did like a short and a video on this. This guy is throwing cheddar cheese. Guy's throwing cheddar bobs. Right now. And I'm a big fan of the pitching profile. He's a very low risk player. There is no downside to this. There's just no downside to it. There's no way that you can sit here and tell me that there's a downside to having a minor league signing if there's 100 miles per hour. But, as Joel Sherman pointed out, and I want to point this out too because I think it's a good point, he could just end up being Nick Birdie, who ended up being awful. But he threw hard, and he popped in stuff models. Let's keep it going here. When you say they're looking for relievers, do you mean like a Michael Kopech caliber reliever, by the way? I'd love him on the team, or like a Jeremiah Estrada kind of reliever. I think they're casting a pretty wide net, just kind of my guessing and a little bit of like trying to see what people think. I personally, I think Kopech's fine. I think Kopech's a fine addition. He's not my ideal final addition. You want a little more stability, but he's better than nothing. I think Jeremiah Estrada would be awesome. I just don't foresee the Yankees being able to trade for Estrada at this point in time. But again, I'm not going to sit here and pretend like I wouldn't throw myself at an acquisition of Estrada tomorrow. I also think for Estrada, like the velocity of the swing and miss stuff, I guess if you want like what I think is a realistic positive addition, Jojo Romero would make a good amount of sense. If they add Jojo Romero, I feel really good about their like bullpen. Jojo Romero doesn't miss a ton of bats, but he's not sexy, but he's good and he keeps the ball on the ground and he's pretty reliable. Like I'm just not going to get mad at it. Like I wouldn't, and he's a 1-year player and the Cardinals just traded Brendan Donovan. Why not? Right? Like if you're the Yankees, why not go get Jojo Romero? Just make your bullpen better. Say that you check the box in the bullpen. It also recontextualizes the rest of your additions because if you acquire Jojo Romero, who's making, I think, about $5 million towards luxury tax this year in arbitration money. Let me double check right now for you guys. Payroll, 4.26 million. Yeah, Jojo Romero, if you add Jojo Romero to the bullpen, and you're not really giving up much to do this probably, and you've got Bednar, Romero, Doval, Cruz, Hill, Bird, Blackburn, Yarbrough, Winquest in that fight, Hedrick in that fight, Yeri in that fight. Yeah, man, I feel good about that bullpen. I feel like they'll have enough arms to get through the year and that they'll score enough runs if they add another bench bat for sure. And I think that's like adding the final touch to I think you kind of take a step back and you look at that roster and you go, oh, you know what? Sorry. You know what? Fine. Right? Like, fine. Cool. Who cares? Right? Like, cool. Right? Like, I think it's like, again, are we going to sit here and like throw a party over Jojo Romero? Absolutely not. But am I going to sit here and tell you that makes him better? Yeah. Am I throw a party over Jojo Romero and Paul Goldschmidt? No, but I think that makes you better. Would you do Jason for Estrada? I would like a prospect with that just because I don't love trading for relievers. No, I would do that. No, what am I talking about? How many years does he have? Does he have 3 years? If he has 3 years, then hold on, let me see. Hold on. He has 4 years. Yeah, I'll do that. They're staying at 330. Jimmy Matthew, is it fair to say that the New York Yankees have objectively spent more money than anybody thought they would, and we should maybe not think that they're not capable of going to 340, and that they've shown that they're capable of? The Yankees have shown they're capable of spending, and that the Yankees were willing to trade for Freddie Peralta. They were willing to go to 338 to get Freddie Peralta. They were willing to go to 338 to get Freddie Peralta, and they're clearly willing to sign. They would like to sign Paul Goldschmidt. They made a major league offer to Slater, so they were clearly willing to improve the payroll more. The Yankees are willing to increase this payroll. They're not stuck at 330. 345. He said at the end of the deadline, right? Is that? Let me just double check. Go. Oh, okay. Well, I think 345 might be higher than I'd expect, but I don't know, man. Like they've shown they're willing to kind of push it. Just 340, like 340 versus 345. It's 345 on the higher end of what I think they'll do, sure. But I think they're willing to push this thing, man. I think they're willing to push it, not to the point where it's like 360, but if it was 345 for the right guy, I think they'll do it. I think the Yankees have shown that they're like willing to spend more than I think we've given them credit for. And I'm willing to give them a little more benefit of the doubt there. Whereas Ryan Mountcastle on the O's, I think. Wouldn't Ryan Mountcastle be like a funny addition? Wouldn't Ryan Mountcastle be like a very Yankee thing to do? Oh, he's making $6.98 million. I do not believe the New York Yankees are paying $6.8 million for Ryan Mountcastle next year. So, he usually hits lefties. He's got a good bat. He's got a good stick against lefties, but I will doubt the Yankees trade for that contract. Just because that is not a great baseball player. This is a baseball, like you're not paying $7 million for a platoon bat who only plays first base. Yeah. Trade for Mayo. That's the other thing. Like, are you trading for a prospect who some teams are going to value? Like, I just think it's simpler to just sign Goldschmidt, spend some money and save the prospects, Let's see what else we got here. Hess for Mayo, I wouldn't do that because Kobe Mayo's going to be your bench bat. I'm not trading Ben Hess for a bench bat. I think Mayo's capable of being a good baseball player. Don't get me wrong. I don't hate Kobe Mayo, But the role I'm deploying him in is not a role that I feel comfortable trading assets of significance for in the prospect world. Is Goldie coming back? A. Becker asks. Potentially. It's possible he ends up coming back. That's the reporting there. Teriyaki Sato is out to dominate in the WBC for Japan. I think he's cool, but he swings and misses way too much. He just swings and misses way too much. Like, he's not going to be a big leaguer of significance if he doesn't cut down those whiffs a good bit. I don't, that's just my opinion. With defense, I do think he's a solid glove, but I don't know. Should have let Grisham walk and trade for Doyle. If the Yankees replaced Trent Grisham with just Brenton Doyle, no. Like, just no. No. We don't need Goldie. We need a backup right-handed catcher. NY Sports Empire, I understand what you're saying, but you can have you're going to have, like, Goldschmidt gives you offense against lefties, and you can put Rice at catcher. So it's like adding a right-handed hitting catcher if Rice can catch. Doyle is an incredible defensive outfielder. I want to say I like Doyle as like a fourth outfielder, but no. I'm not trading Bryce Cunningham, I think, for him. Like, that's a top 10 prospect in the system for a fourth outfielder. Did you already talk about Austin Wells playing for the DR and WBC? Whatchamacallit? I think he's the best catcher the Dominican Republic could get. I think it makes them considerably better. And honest to God, dude, I'm really excited to see him play in this tournament. So I'm really excited for that. Jonathan with the super chat. Thank you, Jonathan. Sign Goldie for mentoring Rice and hitting lefties and trade for relief arms, McGill or Romero. I would love that. I think that would be awesome for the Yankees if they were able to do those two things. If they sign Goldschmidt and they trade for Romero, if they trade for McGill even more, they'd be awesome. Jonathan, thank you so much for the super chat. You're the best, man. Really appreciate it. Jones, Martian, Kilby, and Hess for Yordan Alvarez. We're not getting Yordan Alvarez, Mr. Ted. Dole hits 220. He sucks. I don't think he sucks, but I think he's a bench player. I don't think he's a starting everyday center fielder on a contender. Yeah. And like NY Sports Empire, I agree that like I would prefer a catcher, but if it's get a catcher or do nothing, if it's like do nothing or get Paul Goldschmidt, I'd rather get Paul Goldschmidt. If they sign a right-handed hitting outfielder, would Grisham platoon? Yes, it seems that would be the situation. Yeah. Who would you trade for as a right-handed hitting outfielder? Doyle's an option I'd look at, but I don't think it's going to happen. I don't know if I have trade options really off the top of my head. You do not get Ohtani because you can't find a fielder position for him. Same with Yordan. I just think it's a little bit different. The offseason's not done, guys. Okay to say that. Nothing big is coming. Is done. I don't think anything big is coming, but I don't think it's like done. I think the supplements, if the Yankees, the storyline of whether the Yankees add a reliever or not, I think is a fairly significant storyline, in my opinion. I could be wrong. I could be wrong to say that. How do you view Cashman? I feel like most Yankee fans view him as a bad GM, but as a New York Giants fan, I've seen bad GMs. Cashman's miles better, but I think Cashman leaves a lot more to be desired. How do I put this? Brian Cashman leads a good baseball team who is good almost every year, and whether that is enough for you or not, it is what he is. That is objectively what Brian Cashman is, and I say that not to say that he's awful. Like, I actually like Brian Cashman more than a consensus baseball fan. I think Brian Cashman's good at his job. I think Brian Cashman is an excellent baseball mind, and he has the experience of handling New York. Like, all those things are pluses for him. But I do think it's fair to go, hey, he's not like the best GM in baseball. I think that might be Andrew Friedman. And there are some moves they don't make, like not getting an infielder last year. I think he's really good at his job. I think I appreciate him more than the median fan because, dude, it gets worse. As a New York sports fan, man, it gets worse. It gets worse. It's so much worse. You think Oswaldo makes the team? Yeah. He makes the team to start the year because Volpe's hurt. So they need another guy who can play shortstop on the roster. And I don't think it's Paul DeJong. The Yankees will trade J.C. Oscar sometime before spring training and had a catcher that's right-handed. I think they could carry 3 left-handed hitting catchers again, but I guess time will tell. We got to wait a little bit. Yeah. $22 million platoon bat is a little bit hard to sell, but I'm fine with the QL situation. Well, you also have to think that platoon situation, like he's going to play a healthy chunk of games against lefties because Stanton's going to get hurt. So, yeah. Jonathan Carrizzo with another super chat. Jonathan, thank you, my friend. Jonathan Carrizzo with the super chat. Thank you again. I want to just point that out one more time. Last active Yankee from the 2009 World Series team retires. Godspeed, Robertson. Respect. David Robertson had an incredible career. Low-key one of the best draft picks the Yankees have made in recent memory. David Robertson had an incredible baseball career. Was a 17th round pick who proceeded to pitch in 881 games. One as an opener, but all of them as a reliever, basically. 894 and a third innings pitched. He had a 2.93 ERA. He had over 1,100 strikeouts, a career strikeout rate of 32%. He's one of the best relievers of the 21st century. I know that sounds crazy to say, but he kind of is. So let's look since 2000. Technically, the 21st century is 2001, but I don't care to get that specific. David Robertson among relievers since 2000. So let's go 2000 to now. Robertson is 7th in wins above replacement. He is 4th in pitching strikeouts. Doesn't have a ton of saves. 179, so he's not going to go into the Hall of Fame or anything like that. Yeah, he should be on the ballot. He's not going to get in. I think Hall of Very Good is a good thing to put out at Elliot Johnson. He's a Hall of Very Good reliever. 206 holds, so that is the 6th most. Did blow a lot of saves. I do remember him as not really the kind of guy you want closing, is kind of how I remember him. He was a guy you wanted in the 8th inning, or only did well in the 8th inning for some odd reason. Strikeout to walk rate. He is... Where's Big Rob? Big Robbie. Robertson. He's 44. I guess qualified relievers for some reason count really weird. I'm going to put minimum innings pitched to 200 in relief role. Sorry. Point is, Dave Robertson's one of the best Yankee draft picks of very recent memory. He's awesome. He had an awesome career, and I'm really happy that he gets to go on a high note. He was a pretty okay reliever on a Phillies team. He doesn't have to do the whole crash and burn process or pitch in a contract that doesn't make sense for him. So, yeah. As for right-handed outfielders, stay away from Tommy Pham or Austin Slater. I'm okay with Randall Grichuk or trading for Jacob Young in the Nationals. I actually think that Tommy Pham makes sense because of his good expected numbers, and he's a kind of a douche, and I kind of like it. I think it's a good personality for the dugout. Jacob Young, on the other hand, not sure I'm a big Jacob Young guy. He's a really quality defensive outfielder, but his base running really regressed last year. I don't believe in the stick very much against lefties. I know that he's capable, but I don't believe in it. He's been a league average-ish hitter at times against lefties, but I do not believe he is a capable bat in those situations. I want my 4th outfielder to be able to play more frequently than Young would be able to play. So, yeah. Yeah. Are there any guys... Any other minor league relief guys in the pipeline? Brubaker's gone. Lefty guy Hedrick is probably the best guy who could show up and dominate. Who's a guy from last year holdover. Yankees need another big bat and didn't get it. That the roster is what it is on paper. They did land again, and I say I have a podcast coming out, and I'm going to say this. I'm going to say this, and I think it's an important thing to talk about. The Yankees needed a left fielder and a center fielder. I think they added the best center fielder they could get and the second best left fielder they can get in this marketplace. So I do think it's a little bit unfair to say they didn't add any bats. And yeah, retaining guys, you have to retain. You can't let go of good players because you don't want to run it back and then downgrade and say, well, we didn't run it back. We did something new. Doing something new is not valuable if you're not getting better, is my take here. And I don't think you're getting better by going to anybody other than Kyle Tucker for the outfield. So, yeah. I think the best front office is the Rays. They're always good by having one of the lowest payrolls in the league. Dodgers and Yankees have $330 million plus payrolls. I think the Brewers are up there. I think the Brewers are really smart. I think the Brewers are very, very smart. So, yeah. Guess Stan's injury, I think it'll be a hip flexor. I'm not gonna guess on his injury. It kind of feels fucked up for me to do, but I do think he's gonna spend time in the IL because Stanton always spends time in the IL. let's see. Marky Alaham. Ryan, what do you think the Yankees still need in your opinion? That's a great question. I think the Yankees need a bullpen arm, a reliable late inning bullpen arm, and I also think they need a quality bench bat. I don't know if it's need, but I would like them to get another quality bench bat. So, I want it to be a situation where the Yankees are improving their bench, adding another right-handed bat, and then improving their bullpen. That's what I would like them to do. Thank you so much, by the way, Vinny Dice. Vinny, you're the man. Thank you so much. We got a super chat from Vinny. Vinny says, either Cashman does nothing or he does again where he surprises us and gets a guy we weren't thinking about. I do think that's on the table just because they have a outfielder to move in Jason, and they might, still have some pitching they could trade. Like, we'll see. I just don't think they're going to. I don't know if they're gung ho for it. Like, I don't know if there's anyone to be gung ho about, right? So, I'm not trying to sit here and say the New York Yankees, like, oh, they're fine and, they shouldn't go and get better. It's more so saying, I need to know what's out there. I don't know what's out there, and that has to be part of the conversation. So, yeah. What's up, sir? Love your vids. The great Randini. Thank you, my man. I really appreciate you showing some love. Jonathan Carrizzo asks, over under on Grisham hitting above 240. That is a great question. I personally think that he'll hit under 240. He hit 235 last year. I think he'll hit 225 with a 335 on base and a 450 slug. Yeah. So that's a 775 OPS, which is probably going to be a 115 WRC plus hitter. Yeah, that's where I have Grish right now. Ryan, we already answered that. Sign Rhys Hoskins to a minor league deal. Like, I'll take it over nothing. I'd rather Rhys Hoskins than nothing is like a theme, right? If Rhys Hoskins is going for nothing, I'll sign him. Now I think he can do better than a minor league deal, but maybe he can't. Hoskins in his career is a 243, 382, 501 slash line hitter against lefties. Last year was his worst offensive season against lefties since 2018. I consider that maybe a bit of an outlier. The batting average on balls in play, 263. That's right around his career numbers. I actually want to know, I kind of want to know what happened here. I want to know if there's like a good underlying metrics, bad results kind of sitch. I'm just going to take a quick look here. X on base, X slug. Batter versus lefties. This is Rhys Hoskins we're talking about here real quick. Rhys Hoskins, no, the underlyings are not good. So I think he just had a bad year against lefties, which can just happen. I think he's still a good stick against lefties. I just prefer Goldschmidt. What would you do with Dominguez, and what do you think the Yankees would do with him? I would trade him for the best pitcher I could find. I don't know what that would be, but I think I'd trade him for the best pitcher I could find. And then I would also say the Yankees are going to, I think I'd bet on them not trading him right now because they don't have that other bench piece. He still has a role on this team right now, even if it's not the role you want him to be in. So yeah, I could be wrong. But yeah. We didn't add, we retained. Not much value was added from last year. Well, as I kind of mentioned earlier, you can't just not, like, those guys are free agents. You have to bring them back in order for your, like, you can't not bring back players you really want or that were really important to your team and then say, well, you know what? We got better. Like, you have to bring back good players if you think they're good. And the Yankees think they're good. I think Bellinger's good. I think Grisham's, again, the best center fielder I thought they could have added. I thought Bellinger was the second best left fielder they could have added behind Kyle Tucker. I want them to improve their pitching staff more. I want them to improve their bench more. But retaining quality players who help your team, that does make you a good team. And I think the Yankees being a good team is very important. Jason's at a crossroads in his career for sure. And part of that is, him not going out and grabbing it by its horns, that left field job. But the other part of it's breakouts. The Yankees have had incredible breakouts in the outfield from Bellinger and from Grisham, and Soto obviously being here for that year. And Stanton revitalizing his career. Those kinds of things. So, yeah. Dodgers added, we just retained for the most part. Yeah, well, the Dodgers didn't have like big pieces they were losing. If the Yankees had big pieces, they had lost to free agency, so they had to bring them back. That's kind of where it's at. How about Nick Martinez, Grichuk, and Goldie sound? I think Grichuk and Goldie are a little bit redundant. I don't think you need both. Martinez is solid. I would prefer a good reliever over a depth starter at this point, just because you have Yarbrough and Blackburn. But I wouldn't say this makes your team worse. I'd say this makes this team a little bit better. So, yeah, that's kind of where I'm at. Yeah, that's where I'm at. What else we got? Gosh, remind me about 2023 Giancarlo. Yeah, Vinny, that was a rough year. And honestly, I thought there was a point in time like, hey, this guy's probably not going to be good anymore. Is kind of what my thought process went to at some point. But yeah. What else we got here? Goldie playing first base, Rice at catcher, Jason left, Grisham in center field could be interesting. Yeah, it could be interesting. I don't know what situation you want to do that in, because Wells is a good hitter against, or like a solid enough hitter against right-handed pitching, and he's a really good defensive player. So I don't know, but maybe if Wells goes down or needs a day, I could see that. Let's see what else we got here. I know Vango just falling off, and even I've walked away, but I don't like 225 for Grisham, especially if he's leading off. I would lead off Ben Rice. I'd hit like Grisham 6th. I'd hit Jazz 4th. I'd hit Rice 1st. I'd hit Goldie 3rd. I'd hit Jazz 4th. Stain 5th. Grisham 6th. And yeah, that's the top 6 for me. Yeah. Let me hold on. If they don't get a right-handed hitting first baseman, what if they get a right-handed hitting outfielder, and on days where left-handed pitchers on the mound, move Belly to first base and Rice to catcher? I wouldn't be against that. That wouldn't bother me at all. No, that wouldn't. That wouldn't bother me at all. No, I'd be more than happy with that. Yeah. I'd be happy with that. I'd be a fan. Left on the rotation now and fully healthy. Now it's solid. It's solid. I mean, it's okay. It's nothing crazy. And when fully healthy, I think it'd be excellent. If you tell me that Garrett Cole's guaranteed to be healthy, I'd be really happy. My throat's kind of, I can't lie, guys, my throat's kind of killing me. I don't know how much, if I can get to the full hour here. But I don't know how much longer I can get this going. Top 5 breakout picks for the MLB season. At least one Yankee got Wells, Manzardo, Michael Harris, Winquist, Emmett Sheehan. I like all those picks. I really do like all those picks. I think those guys could have really big years. I love Michael Harris. That guy's awesome. That guy's awesome. My last moves would be Grichuk, Heim, and a better right-handed hitter. Grew up a Yankees fan. Kopech, right relief pitcher, and trading Jason for Lodolo or Ryan, or good RP if we don't sign Kopech if I were running a team. And you know what, man? That'd be a really nice offseason finish. That would make the team a lot better. They'd be, I think, the best team in the American League by a pretty considerable margin. That's a really nice. I love that addition. That kind of addition plan. I don't know if that's going to happen, but I like that. Yes, but it's about what's the mindset that separates them from us. We are the Yankees. We're supposed to be standard and aggressive instead of keep with the other powerhouses in the league. And like I'll say this again, like the Yankees, if your standard is they're number 1, that's totally fine. Like I think that's fine. That's okay. I don't think that makes you not a good team. Like just because that's my standard and your standard does not mean I'm gonna analyze them. I'm gonna like not dictate. Like I'm gonna talk about it the way it is. You know, and be realistic and give you an honest, objective analysis, not just, man, it's not enough because I'm a Yankee fan. I want more. That can't really, that just doesn't work for me because it just doesn't, I can't just go, it's not the best, so I don't care for it. It's like, I have to objectively analyze whether I think it's good or not. So, or whether I think an addition's good or not, or whatever it may be. If Grisham blows it, thoughts on Yankees trade him, release at the deadline, trade for Buxton? I would love Byron Buxton, man. He rocks. Jonah Heim, a New York guy. Man, Jonah Heim, I think, is a solid bench piece, but I don't know how much I can trust the glove at this stage of his career, and I don't know if it's worth moving on from Mascara for. But I don't know. Maybe he takes a short deal. Maybe, I mean, I'd be willing to sign Gary to a minor league deal. That's what I would do. Consider it. Yeah. Low key, could you trade for Mickey Moniak? He's your fourth outfielder. He's left-handed, so no. He's left-handed. I don't think that would make sense. Yeah. How do you think McMahon's going to play this year? A 95 OPS plus with a skew towards righties and a bad OPS plus versus lefties. He's a really good defensive player. I really like his defense at third. I think he gets to the point where he is a league average-ish offensive player, not a good one. Yeah. Yeah. How many, let's see what else we got here. Jonah Heim is a New York guy. He is a New York guy. My guy Logan Moore been here. Logan saying what's up. I'm sorry, guys. I'm just, my throat is killing me. It's like shot. We'll keep going for a few more minutes, and then we'll probably wrap a little earlier. I apologize for that. Submit your final questions. I really am sorry, guys. I really apologize. Did McMahon go to Frozen Ropes this offseason? Any idea on the regiment? I don't know if anything in the offseason is gonna like make him significantly better. I think what's gonna happen is just that like his numbers against righties, the expected OPS was pretty good. The overall OPS wasn't great. I think if you do that, and you improve and you just cut down the play appearances against lefties, I think you make his OPS should get better by just not having to face as many lefties. The Yankees going to sign Gary to a minor league deal and Duarte third, and then Glaber at the deadline and Judge in right field. Yeah, dude, that'd be hilarious. That'd be fucking hilarious. I think they should sign Andujar and Gary and just for the memes. Feel better, King. I really appreciate that left on base. I'm sorry that my throat is killing me. I really apologize, guys. This is really stupid. That I'm still dealing with this throat shit. That's fair. I get your perspective. You're doing what you have to do, but if you don't put ourselves in our realistic position to win a series against the top 3 NL teams, we didn't do enough. I think the Yankees can beat. I think, okay, so how do I put this? If you're in the World Series, you can win the World Series, is my TLDR. You'd rather be the team that is the favorite than the team who isn't the favorite, right? Like, that's obvious. I'm not really providing groundbreaking analysis here. But I do think if they add to their bullpen, they improve their bench. Like there's just not a lot of position players. There's not a lot of position player groups that are as well rounded as that group. And depending on how the pitching looks and health wise, like that group can be really disgusting. You think they land Ty France? I think they'll end up with like Goldschmidt. That's my guess. Jonathan Carrizzo, feel better, man. You rock. Great content. Appreciate you, man. You rock, man. I appreciate you guys for supporting me here. You guys are awesome. You guys are the best. Doesn't get better than you guys. You guys have been so supportive of me. You guys have been so awesome with that, with all the love you've shown us here on Fireside Yankees. I'm really excited to get things going with the Bronx Beat podcast. I think you guys will really love it. I think you guys are going to be really fond of what we're doing there. And I hope you guys really, like, I hope it lives up to the expectations. I'm going to wrap things here, though. My throat is giving. Like, I feel it. It's gone. I'm going to lose my ability to speak pretty quickly, and I have to record a lot tomorrow, so we're going to want to keep the throat in a good spot. Pause. Appreciate you guys so much for tuning in. You guys are the best. You guys are awesome. I love you guys so much. Have a great rest of your night. Let's go Yanks. Like, subscribe, turn on the notification bell, and stay tuned. Tomorrow morning, we're dropping a big pod. And, Vinny, I can't officially answer whether we're going to spring or not, but we're working on it. So I'll give you an official answer soon. We'll see you guys in the next one. Have a great rest of your night. Podcast dropping this morning, fellas. Podcast dropping this morning. This upcoming morning. See y'all. Love you guys so much. Let's go Yanks. Peace out.